Ooh-ah. Ooh-ah. It's not Al anymore. It's Dunk. Dunk-acino? Why would they assume that when he said it's not Al anymore, they would go, oh, so you've taken out Al and the puh of your name.
It's not Alpa anymore.
Their assumption is that his full name is Alpa and his last name is Chino.
Yeah.
That kid, the kid who's like Dunk-acino, he's an idiot.
But he's right.
But he was right.
But he's right.
His assumption was correct.
Yeah.
It's not Al anymore.
It's just Dunk.
Dunk-acino?
Dunk-acino.
Dunk-acino.
The things we do for money.
The things we do for love. What's up, brewskis? My name is Marco Dupa. With me, as always, it's the great and powerful Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Yeah, buddy.
Tonight's brew is from Oviedo.
The
Oviedo Brewing Co. It is the Boom! Wait, we got to do that. Ready? Boom! In partnership with the Kingdom NIL to support UCF student athletes.
Yes.
And I'm sure Obi's going to have a little bit more about this after the break.
I will indeed.
What's on tap for tonight? We got a full slew for you kids. It's going to be a fun one, I imagine. I hope. I believe.
You got to believe.
You always got to believe.
Yeah.
We got a teaser for you guys, and if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, then you will know that there's a couple of deadheads here.
Yeah.
Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible.
Uh-huh.
So
I'm not gonna keep doing it.
So we're gonna talk about that. Plus, it seems that TC has knighted his heir apparent, and we've talked about him a lot on this show. So we're gonna get into that.
Yes.
What else we got, bub?
We have some music news too. Apparently, Apple's not done promoting its top 100 albums of all time.
They're hanging on this thing.
And to cap it off, they are going to offer you a book that encapsulates all their notes from online into one clean package for you.
Oh, is it going to be like a paperback? Like a,
it's hardcover.
Okay.
It comes in an acrylic case. I think it's custom stamped with the number that you have. It's very limited. I think only 1,500 are being printed. And we're going to talk why there's a problem with it. There's one little thing.
And it's something that has to do with Apple all the time.
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about this little known actor. You may know him as Denzel.
Yeah.
We call him Denzel.
Right.
Denzel Washington. He's kind of given us the Quentin Tarantino treatment, and has kind of laid out the rest of his career, and that makes me sad. So we're gonna talk about that.
Yes.
Anything else?
Well, if we get into it, we can talk a little bit about what we think about the famous Pitchfork Music Festival being canceled as far as what we knew it to be.
Yeah, that's right. So we're gonna try to get into all of that and maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, we got to get into these beers. This is episode 442 of the One Beer In podcast.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. takes me to a place where I fit in. Yes,
All right. This is the One Beer In podcast. The podcast where two brews crack open a brew, and we see where that one brew takes us. I'm Marco. That's Adam. Let's rock it. You want to tell the people a little bit more about what we're drinking tonight?
Would love to. This is the Oviedo Brewing Co.
Boom!
Blonde comes in at 5% ABV, the 20 IBU, and the cold read, non the can. But if you go to OviedoBrewing.com, is as follows. This lighter-bodied blonde ale was brewed with those hot tailgate and outdoor adventure days in mind. Fairly clean malt bill of 2-row pale malt base with a touch of honey, carapils, and white wheat malt to round out the bready, sweet side of things. 3 separate hop additions during the boil of Warrior, Cascade, and Willamette impart some slight bitterness and warm fruit-like aroma and flavors in the finish.
Okay.
There you have it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, rock and roll.
Okay.
Let's get into this, okay? Let's start it off with some... Well, actually, before we get into that, because of the name of this...
Yeah.
Well, first of all, why do you think this is named this?
Well...
What's with the duck? Or...
Okay. Let me give you a little bit of lore.
Okay.
So, Boom. Boom is what the head coach, Gus Malzahn, of the UCF Knights football team says whenever something good happens.
Okay.
So, this was pre... the Boom guys, okay? The
Okay.
Costco guys.
All right.
Yeah, he says Boom.
Yeah, I mean, I figured it had nothing to do with them.
It has nothing to do with
Just
them.
because, like, there is nothing on there that...
Not at all. We had a former kicker, last name Boomer as well.
Ah, I remember Boomer.
Boomer, yes. So whenever he would kick off, everyone would go boom. Boom. It's a little cross promo in there. However, you talk about the cranes. They're Sandhill cranes.
That's not a Sandhill crane.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. Speak to the artist. I don't know. But
He's so thick.
It's a thick crane.
They're not thick like that.
It's a thick crane. I'm sorry.
That looks like the birds flying looks like.
Yeah, the silhouettes look more like the cranes. That does look more goose-like.
Yeah.
But despite that, the Sandhill crane is chosen because it became a meme that whenever... actually, early on when Gus became head coach, he randomly just posted pictures of Sandhill cranes. And everyone's like, what does this mean? Like, what are we doing here?
Like a thing?
Yeah, and it became a thing where whenever...
Okay, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
It's their full head. Their neck is not that thick.
Yeah, I think it's the angle, too, you know?
You know what I think it is? I think it's how short this should be, like, really long.
Fair enough. Yeah, they have less of a bill, more of like a,
Yeah, it's like a
poker.
This is really thick.
Yeah, it looks more goose-like. You're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it became a meme, and now whenever, even officially on like the UCF football page, if I don't know, we're getting a good transfer, or there's some good rumors in the air, they'll just post Sandhill crane, and people are like, what does it mean?
I like that.
Yeah. So that's the lore behind the the can art.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Costco guys? We never really talked about them. Not something that was really relevant. I kind of thought that they would go away, and they haven't.
Yeah, they've had a really long shelf life. Mm-hmm. No pun intended. They don't bother me. They really don't bother me in any way.
So they don't represent like the end of the world to you or anything.
No, the entity that represents the end of the world to me is the Haktua podcast being so popular.
Yeah.
It's not because we have a podcast either. It's just because I don't understand how that happened.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
I thought the podcast boom was done. I mean, I just didn't think that. But I mean, I guess if you're even semi-famous and you just create a podcast, like people will tune in.
Well, it's just like 15 minutes of fame famous even.
Yeah.
And you just parlay that into a lucrative podcast.
But those kinds of pods, like the ones where it's like woman focused and they talk about men and they talk about like women.
Man, women be talking.
This is not coming off the way that I want it to come off, and I do not mean it. I do not mean it. What I'm saying is,
Trump gets elected, and 1 week later, you're talking out the side of your mouth about women. I love women.
I don't mean it like that. What I'm saying is, it's a very popular sort of format. Like, there's a million podcasts where dudes just come on here and talk about music and movies and video games and beer. But when women can speak to other women about their relationships and their interests and things like that, unfortunately, it's a little more niche because the space is so dominated by bearded men.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I mean. So she gets on there and makes this show, and like, you know, she parlayed that like semi-fame into, it is insane that
it's
she's
crazy.
Like number 2 or number 3
crazy.
right now. It is fascinating.
Costco guys don't bother me a bit. I think they're fine. They're just existing in my world, and I'm okay with it. You know, it was one of those things that early on they kind of won me over, not because of anything they did, but because it was that initial Twitter post actually that was like, wow, imagine your dad is putting you through this, and like you have to hate your dad by the time you're like 21 if this is how he's like dealing with you. Yeah. And the response to that was like, you mean spending time with you and like having fun?
Yeah.
And like making goofy content at Costco? What are you talking about?
Well, I think people just assume the most nefarious thing about strangers.
Yeah.
Especially people like seeking fame. There must be some level of, well, there is some level of narcissism.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the Costco guy, I mean, it's been unveiled that he was a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And
then he was on AEW.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Fallon. There is there is a strangeness to this.
Yeah.
To all of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
But that seems more natural to me than the Hawktua girl. The Hawktua girl went way too fast, got way too big, for way too little. I feel. I think the boom guys, they were doing something. You know, like it was.
They were bringing the boom.
They were bringing the boom. They made music. They threw out first pitches.
Yeah.
They have a boom meter. They brought in the Rizzler.
They have a whole rating system.
They brought in the Rizzler. Are you kidding me? They upset Jimmy Fallon. I mean,
and you know, when you do that, you're okay in my book.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Fuck you, Jimmy Fallon. All right, let's get into the real deal Holyfield stuff, okay? So we finally got a teaser trailer for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. So I guess you can say this is
the Final Reckoning.
Oh, the Final Reckoning. Sorry. Dead Reckoning was the
first one.
Previous one. Okay.
Dead Reckoning Part 1, technically.
Yeah.
And instead of doing Dead Reckoning Part 2, they said, nah.
Yeah.
We're calling it the Final Reckoning.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
TC's all about that branding. So let's get into a little bit of trailer trash.
Trailer trash. It's been a long time.
I know.
Shouldn't have left you.
Without a trailer to trash to.
Trash to.
There hasn't been a lot of big trailers, I don't think. I mean, maybe the Gladiator trailer, but
I
think we talked about it.
I don't know if we did. I don't think we did.
Well, this is more of just like, and I don't mean this to sound disparaging in any way.
Okay.
But this is just more of the same. This teaser.
Well, it is a part 2, technically. I think they didn't want to call it part 2 because then it would dissuade people who haven't seen part 1 to come in and watch it. But it is it looks like a direct continuation from Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just. I mean, they're all. I don't know. I don't like when we start with a numbering naming system and then just at some point decide we're not going to do that anymore. I don't like that.
Yeah, well, it ended with 3, didn't it?
Yeah, and then from like Ghost Protocol onward,
they
just were like the names of the movies. I don't like that. I like naming conventions to be consistent.
Fast and Furious.
Well, I was going to say Fast and Furious, but then they started getting weird too.
Yeah, they got weird too.
After Fast 5,
yeah,
Vin was just like, well, I mean, we as long as the number's in there, we can call it whatever we want.
Yeah.
The Fate of the Furious?
Yeah.
The fuck does that mean?
You mean
F8? and then there was more movies after that. So it's not even like that should have been the last one. The Fate of the Furious should have been the name of the last movie.
Sure.
But instead, we got Fast 10. Well, Fast X, technically.
Yeah.
And now I don't know what the 11th one's going to be called. Fast 5, Furious 6. I don't know what the 7th.
What was 7? Yeah,
one's called.
Fast 7. I don't know.
They should all just be called FF number and then,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's just my little picadillo there.
Sure.
Okay. I like consistency in things.
Like Final Fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. Like Final Fantasy. You go all the way to the 14th, 15th, 16th game, and you're like, man, they made 16 of these.
And they're not even sequels. They have every right to rename them whatever they want.
Exactly. And they don't. Because they know that branding is there.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm just going to offer up, just say, not trash. Although it's not like I needed to see anything.
Sure.
You could just tell me when the movie's coming out. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say ahead of this is that I don't think either of us needed to see this trailer. It being clearly presented as the end of the story they're telling, from all the callbacks, the returning characters, the dire nature in which I was gonna say Fate of the Furious, in which Dead Reckoning ended with, and the sort of high stakes involved, as they always are with Mission Impossible. I think this is going to. It feels like this is going to be the end of Ethan, and I really enjoy the fact that in the trailer, looking directly through the screen at us, he goes, "I need you to trust me one more time."
Loved it.
And it's like, yeah, you got me. I'm in. Hook, line, and sinker. I mean, add in the practical stunts. We've already seen some behind the scenes stuff of him doing those stunts on the biplanes, and all that being shot for real is insane. And I don't know. They've been one of those rare instances in which they continue to go as hard as they possibly can, especially in the stunt department, and don't seem to have found the wall yet.
Yeah.
Like, it just keeps improving upon itself.
Yeah. You just keep throwing him out of planes or let him hang off of stuff, fall off of stuff, run. That trailer felt like half the movie's going to be him running.
Well, and they know what the people want.
Yeah.
They show him running at least 3 times in that trailer alone. Yeah.
He gets it.
Yeah. Knife fighting. You
can say whatever you want. We do this every time, so I'm not going to keep relitigating.
It's with an asterisk,
TC we know is insane. All right, we're not going to. I don't need to qualify how awesome Tom Cruise is. Okay, and I'm not going to do it anymore. We've done it too many times.
You know him. We know him. Mm-hmm. We just got to let's talk freely.
Yeah.
It's fine.
People always do that. They're like, yeah, but and it's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to be honest with you at this point.
Yeah.
Unless he is complicit in like the harm of people.
Sure.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Some
if
would
he
say
believes weird shit, I don't care.
Some would say he inherently is by being, part of that entire cult. But
you could say that about any religion.
Sure, you sure can. You sure can. So
we're not gonna
go there. We're not gonna go there. We've been there. Mm-hmm. We've come back.
Yeah.
And we still want to see the final reckoning.
Some more TC.
Yeah. I'm very excited. Very not trash for me as well.
Not trash.
Very excited. Very, very excited.
So along with this teaser trailer came, I don't know where he said this.
I think it was an interview. I forget with whom.
Yeah.
Maybe Variety or something. Look it up.
Did
you just say Gleb? Gleb?
I didn't mean this. I was trying not to reveal the actor and stopped.
Well, you didn't.
And then tried to.
Good job.
Gleb,
yeah.
Okay. Tom Cruise has basically kind of named his heir apparent, who he believes should take over for him as like the guy. I kind of thought it was going to be Miles Teller.
Yeah, on paper that makes more sense based on, Top Gun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But in fact, no. it was somebody else in Top Gun. It's Glenn Powell. He believes that Glenn Powell should be the guy to take over once he's done with the Mission Impossible series. And I mean, you take over if they continue the Mission Impossible series, like basically this would be like Daniel Craig picking his successor for James Bond instead of just being like, I'm fucking done with those movies. Stop asking me about them.
As of this month, people have continued to ask him, who do you want to be the next Bond? And he goes, I don't care.
He doesn't give a
care.
Shit, man. It's crazy to think, like, people don't seem to realize, because most people's introduction to him was Bond.
Yeah.
So they believe that he's this debonair, you know.
No.
It's
just a
that
guy.
was a role.
Yeah,
he
he's
doesn't
just a
give
guy.
a fuck about it. He's kind of weird, which I love.
Yeah, he likes being an actor, clearly. He likes weird roles.
He likes doing weird roles. He
Yeah.
he likes dressing kind of weird.
Yep.
Like I
Putting on
love
weird
this dude.
accents.
Yeah, I love this dude, and I love his Harrison Ford-esque attitude about the thing that made him famous. It's hilarious. So, but if you can imagine a world in which Daniel Craig actually did give a fuck about the James Bond series and the direction that it goes, and him saying, like, you know, Jacob Elordi is the guy,
mm-hmm.
or Anya Taylor-Johnson is the guy.
Okay, yeah.
Then that would be like, that's basically the stamp of approval.
Sure.
And at that point, all you need is for the actor to be on board, because that's it, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about this the last time we talked about Glenn Powell, and we were talking about Twisters and stuff, and like his big year last year coming into this year.
Yeah.
Like, what is the thing that is gonna like launch him into superstardom? Because right now he's a pretty big star.
Yeah.
I'd call him an A- star. I wouldn't call him like an A+ superstar.
Yeah, and I think the combo of the rom-com he was in, Anyone But You? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Anyone But You?
The Sydney Sweeney joint.
Yes, that one paired in with... That's enough. Paired in with Twisters, I think was the 1-2 combo of being like, okay,
Yeah.
I mean, for us...
He's got it.
You know...
He's got it.
Hitman.
Yeah.
Incredible.
He's so good
Incredible.
at that. He's so good in that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, that you watch that movie and you're like, this is the fucking guy right here, man.
Yeah.
You want your traditional, good-looking, white, A+ superstar dude. You know, no more Clooney's, no more Pitts, no more TC's.
Yeah.
This is the guy. This is the future. I saw some like future of Hollywood magazine cover. I don't know if it was Variety or Hollywood Reporter or whatever. Dog, they had fucking Rhett and Link on there, and like all these YouTube and TikTok stars and shit, and they're like, this is the future of Hollywood. And I was like,
Huh?
What? I mean, they were all like younger people, except for Rhett and Link. Rhett and Link, they're old.
They're in their 40s, yeah.
I mean, I guess they're reaching a level of fame that is starting to like bubble beyond YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
Because I don't know. I mean, do you still watch Good Mythical Morning?
You know, I really haven't in a long time. The funny thing is, I've seen them more on TikTok than YouTube.
Yeah.
For some reason.
And I think that they've parlayed their YouTube stardom into just like social media.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, they had tried to parlay it into actual like broadcast TV show, and it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to continue doing that.
What they do now, I mean, I don't really watch it that much anymore either, but I've seen them get like massive stars on Good Mythical Morning.
Well, even the like the cooking sideshow they have.
Yeah, their little offshoot thing with the one guy.
Mm-hmm.
He gets big stars too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're I think producers and agents and stuff, they have finally realized that going on daytime talk shows, doing the circuit of Fallon, doing the Jimmy circuit, just doesn't really
doing the Jimmys.
It doesn't really like work the same way as going on Good Mythical Morning and doing a Joe Rogan podcast and doing Hot Ones and stuff like that's really where you want to be. Before we go any further, I just want to let you know it's Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, and then Furious 7. So that's the That's
we
the
doing?
naming convention
Why?
there. It's very, very strange.
And let's not mention the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, and that was number 4. The
Yeah.
Fast and the Furious is number 4.
Right.
Fate of the Furious is 8. Can you guess what Fast and Furious 9 is called? Sorry, I'm sorry. The number 4 is just called Fast and Furious.
Right.
The
Fast and the Furious is the first
is
one.
the first one. Yeah.
Right. Okay. F9.
It's just called F9.
F9. Yeah. Yeah. I was overthinking it. I'm like, no.
Exactly.
It's way dumber than that.
Yeah, it's way dumber.
Yeah.
F9.
F9.
And then Fast X.
Yeah.
So they really, man, they, and then we can't forget Fast and Furious presents
Hobbs and Shaw. Yes.
Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift.
Right. It's like they tried to cram every naming convention they possibly could into one franchise.
It's literally every way you could do.
Unbelievable.
They did the number letter thing. They did the subtitle thing. They did the weird number.
The get
thing.
rid of the in the name.
It's great.
Oh,
it's
man.
Great. It's great.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel he throws everything against the wall and he sees what sticks, and
Sure.
I love it. They're lunatics, man.
Yeah.
They're lunatics.
Absolute psychopaths.
Yeah. You can't beat it. So okay, Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell's the guy. He's the heir apparent.
But here's the twist. He was on McAfee,
Oh yeah.
and he said, "My mother would never allow me to do that."
Oh, the stunts and stuff.
Yeah. So people are taking that and running with it and saying he's pushing against being the next Tom Cruise, the next action star. I don't think so.
I think that.
I think he's just being cheeky.
I think honestly, the only way to like really blast into the stratosphere is to get at least a couple of action movies under your belt. Glenn Powell hasn't done Top Gun, Twisters. Twisters to me is not an action movie. Twisters to me is a disaster movie.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
I don't count that.
That's fair.
Top Gun, he didn't really. You gotta. I mean, you gotta see him do a crazy stunt. He's got to be the leading man. He's got to have at least 2 or 3 fight scenes where we see the fisticuffs.
Yeah.
He hasn't done any of that stuff yet. I don't think that he needs to. No one is ever going to be able to replicate what Tom Cruise does in his movies. So
No.
I think, I'm with you. I think that's bullshit. I don't think there's any way that if they came a knocking, you think he's going to be like, my mother said I can't do it, so I can't be in one of the biggest franchises of all time.
Right. I can't lead the future of a franchise.
You don't think that they can find someone that looks vaguely like Glenn Powell to hang out of an airplane?
Sure.
I mean, it's not a requirement.
Yeah,
Big Rames is in these movies, man.
It's true.
Like, you don't have to hang out of the plane.
Nowadays, he sits down most of the time, and that's
There's
fine.
a lot of sitting in those
That's all he
movies.
needs to do.
In the trailer, he's in like what appears to be scrubs.
Yeah.
So now he's wearing the most comfortable clothes he
Sure.
can find.
I have one requirement. I need to be in scrubs.
I need to be in scrubs.
They're super comfy.
I don't want to get up, and I kind of don't want to put on real pants.
Yeah.
Those are my
Fair.
only
I mean,
requirements.
Fair. As a man who wears plenty of joggers in his life, I get it. Yeah. I mean, how would you feel about Glenn Powell taking the reins of something like Mission Impossible?
I'd feel fantastic about it. The thing is, the way that I feel about it is the series is Tom Cruise's series. So whatever Tom wants to do, I'm on board with.
And at this point, McQuarrie.
Yeah.
They
They've done,
really have, made it their own thing.
And I think that if those two believe that he has the chops to lead the series into the future. I mean, the thing is, I guess the only thing that I would say is like Glenn Powell is one of those rare instances where he's so conventionally attractive that might work against him. Tom Cruise is like, even though he's like 4'9", he's ruggedly good looking. He has that kind of like,
he ain't 4'9" on the screen, buddy.
No, he's not. He's a giant on screen.
Yes.
He has that face that's like, it's like an interesting face. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like women think he was, especially like in that like early 2000s run, MI2 into like Vanilla Sky and all that stuff. I mean, he was on top of the world. But he has like an interesting face, you know?
Yeah.
makes
it
for
has a star quality. You know, like nobody really looks like Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
but in a good way.
Yeah. And I think Glenn Powell would probably honestly work better as Bond than as Ethan.
Can never happen.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But I think that he has the charm and the good looks.
He is more of that kind of. He comes off as more of that kind of debonair, sophisticated kind of guy.
Right.
Now, I'm sure he can play against that, as we saw in Hitman.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, because he has the talent. Yeah.
Right. He has the skill to do that. But using what God gave him, I think, is the easiest course to chart. Mm-hmm. So, what if we had him playing a different kind of Mission Impossible agent?
Yeah,
MI6 agent.
He couldn't just be like the way that they do it. They're like spies. They're like real soldiers.
Not MI6. That's Bond. IMF.
IMF. Yeah.
Yes.
The IMF is real secret agents.
Yeah, they're like CIA types, but
they all
more
seem like ex-military. Like the technology and like it doesn't seem like there's not a lot of instances where Ethan has to use charm.
No,
he doesn't
not really.
have to talk his way out of things.
He has to fit in sometimes, but they have masks and stuff.
It's the fucking that shit. So I don't think he would have to. It's a different skill set he'd have to utilize. It would be interesting to see because the other thing is, okay, do you restart the series? Do you do like a reboot kind of deal with him? Or do you continue the series? Because they have gotten to the point where it is apocalyptic.
Right.
Every other movie is like, this could mean the end of the world.
Yeah. And it's been like that since part 2.
Yeah. So every time that they do a movie, it is like, if you don't stop this...
Yeah.
It could spell the end of society.
What I would like to see is if they were to keep it a continuation of the current timeline, we assume Ethan either actually retires this time or goes into, again, more of a like tutor role for agents, as he did in part 3, or he's dead. We don't know.
Yeah. I don't think they need to kill him off necessarily.
No, they don't. They don't. And, spoiler alert for Bond, we saw how that worked out, and it's like, it kind of feels off. It doesn't feel right for the franchise.
Yeah, it just... Well, because the thing is, okay, with that, for instance, it kind of kills the idea that there's this mystery behind... Is every movie just a different retelling of this one agent?
Yeah.
Or is James Bond a code name?
Yeah.
And it's a mantle. When you kill him off, now you're like, okay, where do you go from here? Did James Bond, the man, die?
Right.
Or is the next movie going to be like, you're now the new James Bond?
Yeah.
Now you've tied yourself into a way where you have to...
If you don't mention it, it's like... kind of weird,
right? So you have to either reboot the series, or if it's going to be a continuation, if you bring anybody back, you have to like acknowledge the fact that you killed 007.
Yeah,
and now you have to bring him back some way, and you have to finally acknowledge after what 60 years, you have to finally acknowledge that it's either a code name or this weird interpretation of the same guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what makes that would make having a Glenn Powell continuation of the current story, as obviously not Ethan Hunt, but as another agent, I think make a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's smarter.
You can bring people back in, and it would also lead to less, I think, of a comparison of Glenn Powell's portrayal and Tom Cruise, because they're not playing the same character. It is literally a different character.
I think he'd still get. I think it's kind of unavoidable.
It is unavoidable, but I think it would be less so if suddenly we're rebooting and this is our new Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
Because then he has to be Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
Or else why? Or else why? Why even bring the name into it if he's not going to be Ethan Hunt? Which, to the detractors' credits of Mission Impossible, Ethan Hunt isn't exactly the most identifiable character in the world. Mm-hmm. He's kind of just Tom Cruise.
But that's kind of what I like about the movies is that he's not like this iconic, catchphrasey, larger than the movie character.
Sure.
He's
a
works
vessel.
within the
Yeah.
So like the stuff that he does, he almost is like reluctant to do the things that he has to do a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, he so and he's putting the IMF and he's putting country above his own needs most of the time. He's a soldier. He's just a guy who believes in something and
he's
works towards that
idealistic.
thing. Yeah. So I like that. I like the fact that he's not, the movie is not Ethan Hunt Mission Impossible.
Right.
Right. It is it's this agency that he's obviously the main character.
Right. Which the agency itself is sometimes the villain.
Yeah.
So
Man, they don't care.
no.
So I don't know. I think it's an interesting thing for an actor of Tom Cruise's stature to be like, this is the guy who I see leading the charge. Because you don't see a lot of dudes doing that. I mean, Denzel kind of did it with Chadwick Boseman. The other like A-list guys, the older A-list guys, you don't see them usually like naming a successor or saying the younger actors. I mean, sometimes, they'll be like, I'm a fan of this person, or I like this person's work, or this was a good movie. But you usually don't see like George Clooney coming out and being like, this guy could take on what the things that I was doing. He can be the guy. I don't need to do this anymore.
Right.
So, I mean, we anoint these people a lot of times. The media does it, and the
we
fans
make the
do
comparisons, but usually the kind of aging out actor does not.
Yeah, I remember when everyone thought Shia LaBeouf was going to be the new Tom Cruise. I thought that was an interesting comparison.
Yeah,
he can do all of these kinds of movies. He's got that goofball charm, but he also is a stellar actor when he needs to be. We see how that panned out.
Yeah.
Big old yikes.
I mean, the man who was given the mantle to Indiana Jones squandered. Yeah.
And then apparently they kill him off screen.
I haven't seen that fourth movie yet.
Oh, you haven't?
Or the fifth movie. Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, it's fine. I don't care about what's his name, Bud or something. Something stupid.
Pup or Buck or
it's something dumb, right?
Pug.
Pug.
It is something dumb.
Yeah.
Spud. Spuck. That's not a nickname.
Spuck. Yes. That sounds like a slur. You fucking Spuck.
You Spuck. Yeah. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen the new Indiana Jones movie.
It's fine.
He goes to war, and they kill him off screen in the war, and that's part of the reason why Indy is so distraught. Is that his son, and who he thought was going to be his successor,
Heir apparent,
dies in the war, and so he kind of loses
be
himself
World
a
War
little
II?
bit. Yeah, I guess it would be World War II.
He was already
right?
fighting Nazis in his own stories.
Yeah,
so.
and I mean, if we're aging him at this point, it has to be.
No, it can't be, because part 4 was in the 50s.
Was it?
Yeah, so it'd have to be like Korea or Vietnam, depending on when part 5 is set.
Wait, Crystal Skull, he was still fighting Nazis.
Yeah, but they were like,
They were like offshoot Nazis.
they were
like the
carryover Nazis.
Yeah, right.
They were like
they weren't Neo yet.
No.
But
they were Venezuela Nazis.
Yeah, right. Still holding on to the dream.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because it was after the nukes, and he was a greaser. It was the 50s.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That's right.
Yeah. So
And that was a whole thing.
it had to be
with Buck.
either Korea or Vietnam. Probably Vietnam, I would assume. If we think he's
Following the timeline, it's got to
Yeah.
be like the 60s.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe
I
early
actually
Vietnam, I
haven't
don't
seen the movie. I just knew that one
Okay.
bit about
I
it.
thought you did.
No,
I was looking
just,
for answers.
no, sorry. I just knew that part Because I was wondering how they wrote him off, so I
Yeah.
looked into it.
That's funny.
I had no interest in seeing that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I still kind of don't, but
I love the original trilogy.
I hear there are good elements to it, just like there were good elements to Crystal Skull.
Yeah. I don't need to. We don't need to keep doing this.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's over. It's Jover.
It's Jover.
We have the video game coming out, and I think that's pretty much all she wrote.
Don't understand the video game either. I said it when we talked about it. I don't understand making a video game in the year of our Lord 2025
Yeah.
about Indiana Jones, and it's gonna be first person. I think it's silly.
Yeah.
I think it's silly. But anyway,
Yeah. It's neither here nor there.
let's continue on with some movie stuff.
Okay.
I know we kind of said them out of order, but I think it makes more sense to just talk
pack them
about
together. Why not?
Yeah. Our good friend and
yours,
the GOAT, Denzel Washington. He's doing the rounds now because he's promoting the Gladiator 2, which he is getting a lot of good press for.
Yes.
A lot of Oscar buzz. A lot of people saying unless some movie comes out in the later half of the year or the later half of these next couple of months, because I mean, the movie would have to come out pretty soon.
Yeah.
To usurp him in the, I guess it would be best supporting.
It'd be supporting, yeah.
And this would be his third Oscar. And a lot of people are basically saying like it wasn't a very strong year Oscar wise.
Yeah.
So he's kind of a shoo-in for it.
I mean, you look at the reviews of Gladiator 2, and they're not very strong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in context, I mean, maybe.
Well, the thing was, the pre, like all the
preview screening reviews?
Yeah, those people like those.
You can never trust those. Though.
Yeah.
Never trust an early review at all. Those people are being paid or otherwise coerced to say nice things about the movie. They are. They sign like an NDA saying, "Look, you can't say this about it or that about it. We would like you to say that it is the best movie you've ever seen."
What is even the point of being a reviewer if just so you can see movies early?
You know, that's why you find most of the people who get those passes, and no offense, but they tend not to be like the most professional reviewers. You're not going to find like high quality, trusted reviewers on those lists. Mostly, you know, like movie blogs, movie podcasters, et cetera, that are just like internet personalities who have a big audience, a big enough audience to say, this may have been the best movie I've ever seen of all time. I've seen that tweet.
Okay,
I've seen that tweet.
That's crazy.
Maybe the best movie I've ever seen. It's like,
well, then you shouldn't be a reviewer.
You kidding
or
me?
you should watch more movies.
Yeah. So never trust those. Never.
Well, yeah.
trust
To
those.
that point, I remember one time I went to go see Pineapple Express.
Yeah.
And I had a pre-screening. I forgot how I got it. I think like they just sent them out to people who are like on a mailing list or whatever.
Yeah, you used to be able to get on the mailing list from like Sony.
Yeah.
And they would send you tickets, or you could sometimes just show up, and they, you know, as long as you were within the first 100 people or whatever, they would let you in.
Yeah. So we went to a screening of it, and in fact, it was actually like early enough that I think they changed some stuff from the screening that we saw, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
Get
to your
little
point,
surveys at the end. You can say what you thought about it.
But to your point about not trusting these people, all of the press sat in the front row.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of psychopath? When the theater was empty. It was a pre-screening, so the theater was empty. We sat where you're supposed to sit.
Sure.
And these guys, I saw them all with their like press things, and they were writing while they were watching
Little badge.
and they were down at the front row.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to pull up the slew of movies that he said? Denzel gave us he laid it out. This is his plan, tentatively. This is what he's going to do. And then he's going to ride off into the sunset. Supposedly. Everybody retires until they don't. Michael Caine was retired for...
Michael Caine. Now he just tweets random stuff. It's nice.
It's so funny, man.
It's nice. Okay, so according to Discussing Film, Denzel Washington says he will retire from acting after his next batch of films, including a film about the military leader Hannibal, Black Panther 3, which Ryan Coogler is writing him a part for.
Put a button on that because that's massive.
Yeah. A new film with Steve McQueen, not the actor, the director. A film adaptation of Othello, and then a King Lear project. So he's planning on ending with Shakespeare.
He really likes Shakespeare.
Yeah. I mean,
they all do.
yeah. What
Yeah.
actor doesn't like Shakespeare?
Yeah. Well, the ones who are good.
Yeah.
Not the Shakespeare plays. I mean the actors who are.
Right. Yeah.
They understand
The power of Shakespeare. Yeah.
I mean, whenever I see him or who was the other one who's a big Shakespeare guy? Oh, man. Pacino's a big Shakespeare guy, but it wasn't Pacino.
Yeah. I mean, any of the guys that kind of were coming up in the 70s in New York always did Shakespeare.
Yeah. A lot of the maybe it was Ian McKellen.
Oh, yeah. He's done a lot of stage work, especially in his later years.
Yeah. There's a big actor who is a big Shakespeare guy.
Yeah.
Who can recite that stuff pretty.
Kenneth Branagh is very into Shakespeare.
It's big. So anyway, it is whenever I see those dudes like start rattling off couplets and shit, I'm like, I should read some more Shakespeare. You know,
It's good.
I mean, I did it like everybody else our age. I read
Sure.
it in high school,
Sure.
and I was, these fucking kids, man, they don't fucking read.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
They can't read.
a lot of kids are fucking illiterate.
Yeah.
Like they're like truth be told, borderline illiterate.
Yeah.
And they don't get like the silly shit that they think is not worth their time. It's so funny when
Are these old man hours? Is that what we're doing?
yeah, you know what? Fuck it. There's enough grays in the hair at this point. I'm just saying, like, I have like younger people in my family now.
Yeah.
Right? And I talk to some young people at the bar. They come in, they're like 21, 22.
Sure.
And they're just dumb. And I don't mean like they're not interesting to talk to. I just mean that they don't know shit.
Yeah,
they don't know anything.
I got to be honest with you. I think we thought we knew shit, and we really didn't at that age, too.
Sure, I completely agree with that assessment. If I at 21, but I will say, if you asked me about Shakespeare, I knew.
Sure.
Because I did read.
Yeah.
I read books.
I
don't read them now. If you ask me anything now,
Right.
I think I've gotten dumber as I've gotten older.
What's your favorite sonnet from King Lear?
But I can tell you, like, fresh out of college or dropping out of college, which is what I did, like, that moment, there was a very crystalline moment where, like,
You knew shit.
I knew shit.
Yeah.
And they don't know shit
Yeah.
about anything.
I think there's a real issue with education in this country. And
Well, don't worry, because Trump's going to destroy the Department of Education. So
don't get into it. Don't get into it. Don't get into it.
Don't get into it. We'll see. We'll see.
not
what
worth
happens.
it.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So, okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to go off on that
fine.
tangent.
It's
But
fine.
Shakespeare, these guys, you can always tell a blockbuster, huge name actor by how much they love Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So he's going to do Othello, which I think is great.
Yeah.
King Lear, Black Panther, and a Hannibal movie.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All Shakespeare.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going. Yeah. Whatever the Steve McQueen movie is going to be, I'm excited for that too.
Yeah.
He should throw a Tyler Perry movie in there just for
Sure.
just to be like, fuck it.
Uncredited though.
Yeah.
Just have him
He
show
can
up.
just show up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Do like one scene.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
if
Do
Tyler
like a
Perry
Glenn Ross thing where he just comes in and like tears it
just
apart
tears it? Yeah.
and then
Oh
leaves.
man.
He's just
oh
gone.
man. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be massive. The Black Panther 3 movie, he kind of snuck that in there. That's I mean, I know that Marvel has been on this down thing for a couple of years now, but for Ryan Coogler to tap Denzel for, I mean, he's been working his way up, right? The first movie you had Oscar winner Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
And then the second movie, you get Oscar-nominated Angela Bassett.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the third movie, he's like, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like that phone call, he's like,
yeah.
listen, I mean, it's not like you're not going to be in good company.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I
You
mean,
know.
I think that worked towards his favor, but there's always been a lot of DNA with Denzel and Black Panther because, like you were saying, with Chadwick Boseman, his speech, he's like, there would be no Black Panther without Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Literally, he said that. So, I mean,
Yeah, it was
I think
big.
yeah, I think there's a lot of love in that circle, and I think that's the only reason Denzel would agree to doing a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I don't like him laying out his roadmap for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I'm kind of two minds here. I think I obviously respect if he decides to hang it up, because what more can we ask from him?
He's done it all.
Yeah. Truly one of the last movie stars of our time. But yeah, it would be sad to see him fully disappear from the limelight. I would love to see him, just continue to grow into different roles. Just keep doing it as long as he wants to. But that's the thing. If he doesn't want to do it anymore, God bless him.
I don't know. I just feel like in the end, quote unquote, of his career, he is seeming to do more and more interesting things.
Yeah.
It's like the pressure is off for him to have to prove himself. And so he's just kind of done.
He's done it all. What else does he have to prove?
Right.
Nothing. He's doing what he wants to do now.
Yeah. And what he wants to do is really fun, interesting stuff from a guy who, like you said, has done it all.
Yeah. So, I agree with you. I don't want to see him go. But if he does truly hang it up, just happy to have had him in our time.
I don't think he will, and I don't like when people who don't have to physically retire announce a retirement as far as entertainers are concerned. Because like athletes, you can tell when they ain't got it no more.
Sure.
And
sometimes they can't tell.
Right. It's very hard for a lot of them to call it a day.
Yeah.
And when some of them are smart enough to say, like, I can't do it anymore, or I don't want to do it anymore, I don't want to tarnish my legacy. Like, Stone Cold Steve Austin, for instance, like, had a pretty short career, all things considered.
Yeah.
From the stuff that he was, like, stunning Steve Austin and the Hollywood Blondes and all that stuff, the Stone Cold Steve Austin character lasted from like 96 to 2002.
Yeah.
That was like his real deal prime.
Yeah.
Right? 6 championships. That's not a lot in considering some of the other guys. Ric Flair 16.
Sure.
Cena 16.
Considering his notoriety, his impact,
the fact that he's you could argue the biggest star of all time.
Yeah.
And only having won the belt 6 times. It's a very short window of time when you really think about
It's
it.
those exploding knees.
And that neck.
Yeah.
Those knees and that neck, man. He just couldn't do it. And so instead of wheeling himself out there every couple of years to get beat up on and look like shit, he was smart enough to say, I'm done.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of young football players who are like, I played 6 seasons. I made my money. I don't need to do this anymore. Aaron Donald won a Super Bowl, and then he was like, see ya. I may be the greatest linebacker of all time. I'm out.
Right. I beat the game.
Yeah.
I'm out.
These are the credits, bro.
Right.
So I do respect when they do it.
Yeah.
Entertainers, I think, is a different story because, like, you can grow into roles. You can continue making music. If you don't want to do it anymore or can't do it anymore because of whatever limitations you've put on yourself, I respect that completely.
Yeah.
And I do like the idea of saying, of like an actor saying, this is my last movie, or a musician saying, I'm in the twilight of my career. I can't play the guitar like I used to. This is my last album. I love that shit because it's like a beautiful kind of crescendo send-off moment.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later, they come back and they're like, I magically can play the guitar again. Or like, oh, you know what? Christopher Nolan really convinced me that this movie was the one. I should come back and do it. And it's like, it just cheapens it. So it's like, dog, just be quiet.
Yeah.
Just, you don't have to do this.
Don't say it.
Just
if you're not sure, don't say it. I do think it is nice when an artist especially, or any kind of public person is able to get their flowers and say like, this is it. This is all I have to contribute. This is all I can contribute. I've had a nice life. I'll see you guys. I'm retiring. It's nice. It's nice. They'll pop up on podcasts or write a book or something, and that's fine. But if you do that and then you come back, it's over, man. Like you've tarnished it. You're not going to get that a second time.
Right?
You kidding me? So,
right, exactly. Once you've done it, that's it. You can't just keep. You can't like every 5 movies be like, you know what? This might be the one.
And that's the big problem I have with LCD Sound System.
Yeah, they're back again.
There's going to be another album.
Yeah, which I'm like excited about, but it's like, how many times are we going to do this?
Look, if this one doesn't blow my socks off, I'm going to be one of those people that's like, no, they died at the end of that last album.
Yeah,
they said they're actually going to.
Did you hear their new single?
No.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it to me is a song that is going to be in the middle of the album, and it's going to be one of their like, oh, this is dancey and fun, but it's not one of their like deep.
It's just
beautiful.
A groove.
Yeah, it's just a groovy song in the middle of the album. So not mad at it, but I'm very surprised that it's the first single. It's no North American Scum.
Yeah,
it's no Someone Great.
And nothing after Shut Up and Play the Hits has been any of that.
No, I mean there's a couple of bangers on American
I'm not
Dream.
saying there aren't good songs on American Dream. I'm just saying it hasn't lived up.
That album cover is dog shit.
Oh, it's horrible.
And I love you, James Murphy, but that
horrible,
horrible.
Horrible. There's nothing on there that tells me it was dire enough for them to come back out of retirement after they made a whole to-do about retiring to make this album.
Agreed. To come back and make like a good album is like,
it's not good enough.
You didn't need to do that.
Not good enough.
Didn't need to do that.
No. Come out with James Murphy songs.
Yeah.
Have a solo album. It's fine.
Okay. Anything else to say about the Denzel stuff?
No, but I think this is a good transition point to get into our music topics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Let's do it. So we're not going to talk about X-Ray Eyes. A good song. It is a good song.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's more in the vein of like Drunk Girls. It's kind of like it's fun.
Yeah.
But
which is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And that's really it. It's like it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
I don't think LCD Sound System had an album on Apple's Top 100, did they?
That's a good question. I don't remember one being there. We could be wrong.
I'm gonna do a quick little Google search and see if there was anything.
Okay.
Let's see. Apple
Top 100 albums, LCD Sound System. What do you think would be there, if there is?
If they were, see, they did this weird thing on this list, and we didn't really get into it the first time we talked about the list, but there was a couple of artists that I thought, you put that album on there because that was like the big moment.
Yeah.
But it wasn't their best
album, yeah.
Like I'm thinking of Rage. My first thought is Rage. Their first album's not that good. Mm-mm. It's their second and third album. You can do Evil Empire or Battle for LA.
Yeah.
But the first album has like 3 or 4 songs on there that are like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is a real band.
It's a great coming out party.
But it's not
their best.
If we're talking about quality, Battle for LA or Evil Empire, no, there's nothing from LCD Sound System on the list. So yeah.
Okay.
There you go. They thought, I mean, I guess there's nothing from like no one else from that era either. There's not like a Queens of the Stone Age album or like
well, they have like the Strokes.
Come on. You
I don't know.
The Strokes are better than LCD.
I know.
Well, okay, let me just say this, just for the record. The Strokes and LCD Sound System are probably like 1A and 1B for me.
Sure.
I do. They're like two of my. The Strokes my favorite, but LCD Sound System is right there.
Yeah.
Right there. But if we're talking about is this it versus anything that LCD came out with,
it's fair. I just wanted to bring it up. Just wanted to say that 100 albums is a lot.
It's a lot.
There's
It's
a lot of room there.
Yeah, a lot of. Oh, dude, there was a lot of albums on there that could have been replaced by. To answer your question, sound assist or a sound of. Now I'm blanking on it. It's. I wanted to say sound of system.
Sound of
LCD
system.
sound,
Talk to me.
Sound of system.
Makes me want to feel like a sound system.
Come on, help me. Sound of
Silver.
Sound of Silver.
Yeah.
I would have put Sound of Silver.
I think so too.
I think that's their best album.
It is quite good.
And at any rate, they didn't. There is no Sound of Silver on the album or on the list.
Yeah.
Apple thinks so highly of their own list that they decided to make a special edition book, like a companion piece to go along
limited
with the list itself. Now you can just access the list on their website on Apple Music.
Sure. See it whenever you want.
But they thought, you know what you need? You know what you need?
That coffee table's pretty bare.
And guess what? You need a big Apple logo on your coffee table. Slap it right there, and then when people come in, they go, "Oh wow!
Oh wow! You got the Apple book?
To the Apple book, the top 100 albums of all time, as according to Apple."
I wonder what
Music.
Apple's 52nd best album of all time is.
Let's swipe through this book and see if we can find some LCD sound system.
Yeah.
Oh, there isn't any.
Oh, I didn't find it.
So, the idea of making this book is not a terrible idea on its surface.
Speak for
right?
yourself.
All right. I will speak for myself. It's my turn.
Okay.
It's my turn. Have you seen that clip of Shannon Sharp and
No.
Skip Bayless?
Oh, yeah.
It's my turn.
It's my
you
turn.
You told me it was my turn. You lost the game. You told me it was my turn.
The meltdown.
The list itself, entertaining. Making a coffee book, to me, is like kind of just. It's almost just funny.
Yeah.
That they would be like, we need to do a physical.
People need
list
this in their
of this.
hands.
I thought when I first saw the link for it that it was going to be like a digital book, some kind of thing where it's like you swipe through it and you can listen to the albums, or maybe
It's like those kids' books. You press the button and it plays.
yeah, something like a pop-up book,
Yeah.
something like that. I just thought that there would be more to it. It's just a fancy book. That's
Yes, with an acrylic cover.
it. Yeah.
It also costs $450.
$450
for
a book.
$50.
A book of stuff that they didn't even come up with. It is just a list.
Yes.
It is like
And a blurb. You get a blurb.
you get a little blurb.
Yeah.
Bro, can you imagine spending over, I don't know, $20 for like the Guinness Book of World Records?
It feels like a book you'd find in like the bargain aisle of Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
You know, like those big hardcover
Yeah.
books that are like, oh, this is a nice
Like,
coffee
yeah,
table
I'll throw
book.
this on here. There's some nice pictures and stuff,
Interesting,
some nice
yeah.
photography.
Right.
Yeah. $450.
Unbelievable.
Apple as a company, they never cease to amaze me when it comes to stuff like this. When it comes to them going, I'm impressed at this point with
Yep.
the stuff that they do. The over the ear headphones, the AirPods, the lack of innovation from a company that was known
For innovation.
the fact that their mouse, you still have to charge on the bottom. You still have to do that, bro. The new charger, you can't use while it's charging.
So insane.
When I first got one, I was like, well, that's dumb. and fast forward to 2024, and they're still doing it.
there can't be a reason other than they're stubborn, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It is absolutely. There is no way there is not one person who was like, this seems like a flaw.
It makes it different. Actually.
It makes it different. Guess what? You need a full battery to use this mouse. Otherwise, go fuck yourself.
Right.
Figure something else
Yeah.
out. because we have no.
You better plug in a
answers for
third
you.
party.
Right, go and get
Mouse.
yourself a little Logitech,
Yeah,
bitch.
yeah. Logitech, bitch.
The AirPods, you still have to charge the box as well as the AirPods.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like you have to constantly
is.
keep the box charged.
Got to charge the box.
You got to charge the box.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the box charges the AirPods.
AirPods, yeah, yeah,
What are we doing?
yeah.
And then, they come out with...
Porcanos dos.
And then the new phones are,
But they have AI in them now. So
Ooh. Wait, the AirPods?
no, the new phones.
It's just people talk. It's just AI talking to you. No, the voices. Yeah, the new phones have AI, sure, and that brings the price point to like $2,000, $2,500. So
Sure.
I'm constantly amazed at the kind of money that Apple gets away with charging people for things.
But
This one seems to be, honestly, the most egregious I've ever
ludicrous.
seen. Yeah.
Ludicrous. It pangs of like, how much could a banana be, Michael? Like
Right.
they have no idea how much to charge for a book.
Yeah,
Insane,
seriously.
insane. Let me just say though, the reason why I disagree with you on not just automatically thinking this is a bad idea is that I hate when books are of this nature where it's like a top 100 list, a top 10 list, best cars of all time. They are inherently going to be outdated. And if I'm buying a book, I want it to be a time capsule. I want it to be a thing that is like inherently timeless. Like somebody wrote this book of.
So not a time capsule, but timeless.
Well, no. It can be a product of its time. It can be something that's like, I don't know, top 10 cars of the 90s.
Okay, yeah.
And it's
all
like,
right,
okay,
sure.
yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's never going to change.
Yeah.
I can have this book, and it becomes like, it becomes something I can give my kid and be like, have you seen the Shelby Cobra? It's really cool.
Yeah.
Check this out. I agree. It's one of the best cars of the 90s. But to have a top on 100 albums of all time list committed to print is inherently stupid to me.
Yeah.
Especially when it already exists in its original form online in a format that you can change. It just makes no sense to me.
Okay. All right. I could see that. Okay. You kind of convinced me. If it was like a current top 100, or if it was like, this is what we think now. Like, if they had like some kind of blurb in the book that was
Right.
like, this is the year 2024. This is what, because Rolling Stone did their list, and then like every 10 years they update it.
Sure,
They put
yeah.
Missy Elliott in the top 10. I don't know what we're talking about. So yeah, you kind of need to leave room for a new interpretation of a list like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that Rolling Stone did have magazines. I remember having the top 500 magazine. It was pretty cool. It was a thick ass thing.
Well, magazine, in my opinion, is a completely different story because it's inherently dated.
Yeah.
It is like you look at the magazine and you can see on the spine usually and in the front, it's like February of 2010, and you can say, oh, okay, this is what it was as of this time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I may be showing my ass here. Maybe the first page in that book is, this is year 2024. This is the best albums that we have as of this date. If that's the case, then fine. But the way it's presented is like the undisputed,
Definitive, end all, be all.
100 albums of all time. I know I'm getting stuck on it, but it just bothers me.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And I feel where you're coming from. Yeah. So you like print a book. You make the special edition. You print only 1,500 copies. You charge $450
That's the other
for
thing.
a book.
Yeah.
And then in 10 years, it might all be irrelevant.
The number one best album of all time could come out next year. What
What did they put? Miseducation.
Right.
And then Thriller was 2.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, if you are going to make a definitive list and then pick an album from 1998 in the relative terms of how long popular music has been going on, to pick an album from 1998 is and then to have an album from just a couple of years ago in the top 10, there's no telling. You're right. Like in the next 10 to 15 years, you might have an album that is in the top 3 that, I mean, you definitely will. There is definitely going to be an album that comes out at some point.
I would hope so. I would hope
that would
music
be pretty
continues
sad
to be really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's inherently silly. Now, in a way, it is kind of fun. And, to kind of counter my own point, a bit of a time capsule if, say our kids someday were to find this book and be like,
look what these old farts thought was good.
Top 100 albums of all time. Let's see what this is about. And be like, I've never heard of Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. What is that?
Yeah.
You
can still go on Apple Music and find out. Hopefully, the world's not over by then.
Let's see.
I'm more hung up on the price point. And
I mean, that goes without saying, my friend.
But I also think that it's not just the price point. It's the idea of it's this really weird commercialization or commodification of the music itself. It's this top 100 list, and it's filled with some of the most emotional, heart-wrenching, beautiful offerings of pop music ever. And they just packaged it into this we're gonna drive the price point up by putting it in acrylic and transparent see-through whatever the fuck.
So
just to make it seem like more special. We're only gonna print 1,500 of them. Drive up the price point and the desire and the demand and everything.
Or you could listen to each of those albums for $12.99 a month.
Yeah.
On Apple Music.
And I think that's the weirdest part about this whole thing is Apple constantly doing this thing where they jump in and they're like, look what we've done. And it's like, you're not when they did their deal with the Beatles 10 or 15 years ago.
I remember that.
And they did all that stuff where the Beatles were all over everything, and they
we own them now.
Yeah, and they put all their music back out and all this stuff, and it was like, you guys didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Let's stop pretending like Apple had anything to do with the Beatles.
Right.
Y'all didn't
Apple
do
Records.
anything.
Yeah,
So
you paid money to
you
license
bought
these
this,
things.
and the way that they presented it was like, finally you get to hear the Beatles the way that they were intended, the way that we intended.
Well, they paid for a remaster. That's something. But
Sure.
Really,
you don't think that Paul could have paid for a remaster? I think he could swing it.
between him and Ringo, they could probably.
I think they didn't need to. I think they got a couple of shekels to rub together to remaster their albums. Maybe. Yeah. So I like Apple. Listen, this is an Apple laptop. This is an Apple phone. You know what I mean? I'm not above it. I'm not getting an Android.
I'm a company man. What can I say?
But it is really fucked up.
Yeah.
Just at the end of the day, it's like, that's fucked up. That's all I can really say when I see something like that. I'm like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
So, something else that's fucked up and that doesn't really bode well for the future of music. Well, I don't know how much it really matters to the future of music per se. Music media and how we perceive music and media literacy. Pitchfork has canceled their long storied Pitchfork Music Festival.
There's never been a cancellation except for 1 year for the pandemic since 2006.
So 19 years, I think I read, that this festival has been going on. And what's the Chicago?
Chicago, yeah.
Chicago staple.
Chicago.
And they canceled it. I thought the wording... Okay, do you want to pull up the statement?
Sure.
Because I thought the wording in the statement was a little strange.
It is.
It made me think that things weren't it was kind of in between are things more dire than I think or not as dire as they're making it seem.
Yeah.
Because it kind of was it kind of came across Well, if you would please read the statement, and then we'll kind of...
This is the statement from Pitchfork. To our Chicago festival community, as the music festival landscape continues to evolve rapidly, we have made the difficult decision not to host Pitchfork Music Festival in Chicago in 2025. This decision was not made lightly. For 19 years, Pitchfork Music Festival has been a celebration of music, art, and community, a space where memories were made, voices were amplified, and the shared love of music brought us all together. The festival, while aligned with the taste of the Pitchfork editorial team, has always been a collaborative effort, taking on a life of its own as a vital pillar of the Chicago art scene. We are deeply grateful to the city of Chicago for being our festival's home for nearly 2 decades, to the artists who graced our stages with unforgettable performances, and to the fans who brought unmatched energy year after year. Thank you to @Pluto and the rest of the hardworking festival team whose dedication and creativity were the backbone of every event, and to the broader community whose spirit and support made the festival a truly unique experience. And thank you to Mike Reed for founding the festival and for your inspiring vision. Pitchfork will continue to produce events in 2025 and beyond. We look forward to continuing to create spaces where music, culture, and community intersect in uplifting ways. And we hope to see you there. End scene.
Thank you. To me, that reads like they just don't want to be in Chicago anymore.
Yeah.
That doesn't read like the end of Pitchfork or the end of the festival, and I saw all these people who were like basically reading the obituary, and I was like, I don't know, man, it just doesn't sound like that's the case.
It's because Pitchfork, as we spoke on this podcast, was taken into GQ.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are reading that as, well, this thing is now dead. But it sounds like they're going to continue to do festivals, maybe on a smaller scope.
Yeah.
And obviously in different places. I don't know why they chose to leave Chicago. I don't know if it was a cost thing, or it would just be too hard to continue doing the festival as it was. And they want to do more of like a one-day event, super small, with maybe a handful of artists instead of making it this huge to-do, a la Lollapalooza or the other major festivals. So
the thing that kind of sets them apart from those other festivals is the fact that like they started off as an online zine, and they evolved enough to warrant an entire music festival.
Yeah, it's big.
And the fact that they were able to do that for 19 years is pretty massive.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's... I didn't know that the festival had been going on for almost 20 years. I do think it's insane that they continue to do that festival. Now, the rest of them, like the big music fests that are just dedicated music festivals, I just think that Pitchfork is like that little engine that could when it comes to something like that.
Sure,
so it's just kind of surprising that it went on as long as it did. And in this festival market, where even the big names are like, I don't know if we can swing it this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I do think that it's smart if it is the case that if they're like taking a year off, to kind of re-strategize, come back with like a smaller scale thing, maybe relocate. I think that's smart.
Yeah.
I think that's a smart thing to do, and I think that it would be smart for more people, more organizations, more superstars to kind of humble themselves and realize that you can still make a lot of money, probably not as much money as you want.
Certainly not.
Or as you were. But you can still make a lot of money if you just kind of humble yourself and say, like, instead of doing a stadium tour, I'll do a theater tour.
Yeah.
I'll do theaters. I just think that a lot of these people don't want to accept the fact that like that kind of money's just not being moved the way that it used to back in the day.
Sure. Yeah.
And and it's going to be the death of a lot of them. You're not Taylor Swift. You're not Adele. You're not Drake.
Bad Bunny.
You're not Bad Bunny. It's just not going to happen for you. Yeah. So kind of humble yourself a little bit.
Well, just realize that there is something to being out in front of the people and doing essentially that PR work for less to kind of get a groundswell of support. It's a little like politics, honestly.
Yeah.
You shake hands with the little people and they remember it.
Shake hands, kiss babies.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we kind of have to get back to that, especially because a lot of these major festivals are seeming to be downsizing a bit, and if not completely disappearing.
Yeah.
So
if you don't want to be one of them that just dies completely, you got to maneuver a little bit. You got to figure out some ways around some things.
Sure.
Maybe you don't get to book, Jack White and Queens of the Stone Age,
right,
and some legendary reunion band.
Yeah.
Maybe you pick one.
Maybe it's not a full weekend. Maybe it's not a
full weekend.
Do a 1-day festival with 5 people instead of 10.
Yeah. And then you can book like a bunch of big name artists because you're only paying for the one day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see. I don't know. I read it like you did, though. I don't think it's the end of the Pitchfork Music Festival in general. It is the end as we know it, though.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what happens. I do think we'll see it pop up as either a smaller show in a different city or maybe like a tour of smaller shows, a la like Warped Tour, And
they obviously have something cooking.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't just... I think it would have been smarter to kind of not even acknowledge anything else about any kind of plans that are coming.
Yeah, I would have just kept it simple and said, like, we're canceling it this year and then come out next year with a new plan.
Right.
This leaves way too much ambiguity and the kind of speculation from the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens next year. We'll see if they come out with anything cool. I don't know. Pitchfork's long been kind of dead anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on that?
That's all I got.
Well, then I think it is time for us to move right along into the cheers of the week. So, Obi, what's your cheers, brother?
My cheers of the week goes to Tony Todd.
Tony Todd.
We talked a lot about Candyman. Obviously, we reviewed the new reboot, requel,
yeah,
of Candyman.
We should have done the OG that month.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, we still can.
And we still can.
Still can.
We will.
Yeah, Candyman.
Candyman.
Along with Final Destination, is what kind of made Tony Todd famous.
Night of the Living Dead remake.
Yes, and I mean, he's one of those guys.
Yeah, he's that guy.
He's that guy for sure. I mean, recently voiced Venom in the Insomniac PlayStation games or game. Yeah, I think just one of those Hall of Famers as far as character actors go, and unfortunately, we've lost so many.
Yeah, in
this year alone. So I just wanted to give a little tip of the hat to Tony Todd. I think, his voice, his certain. I mean, Candyman was so kind of smooth and sexy in a weird way that a lot of the other slashers weren't, and he brought like a real menace, but like a very unique sexiness to his horror portrayal, which is rare.
Yeah,
in this realm, and from all accounts. Sweet guy. Yeah. Really nice guy. I haven't heard any bad things about the man himself, so
yeah.
Unfortunate that we lost him. Only in his 70s.
Yeah.
So
shocked because the last time we saw him, I mean, he looked great for his age. Yeah. Thought it's just one of those guys again that he pops up in something and you're like, "Oh shit, that's sick." Fucking Tony Todd's in this.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, yeah, it's sad. But he did leave behind, I think, a lasting legacy of sure. His portrayals are he's pretty he has a pretty iconic look to him.
Yeah.
And to be one of the most iconic horror villains, like you're stamped. You're stamped forever. So yeah. Rest in peace. My cheers of the week is actually another black actor who deserves a little bit of credit. It's Denzel Washington.
Oh.
So when we were talking about doing that bit on Denzel, I started to really, really think about it. And I know that I've said on many occasions that my favorite actor is Al Pacino in the 70s.
It's Dunk.
It's Dunk-acino from the 70s.
Yeah.
And I stand by that. I do think that he had the best 10-year career I think an actor could ever have. I think the roles that he picked, his portrayals were, I think they're bar none in the 70s. I stand by that. But I've been rewatching a lot of Denzel movies.
Yeah.
And I am ready to say that I think he's the GOAT. I am ready to publicly say that I think that Denzel Washington is the best living actor of all time. And if this slew of movies that he's about to put out is really the end, I did not want to miss the opportunity to just give him the flowers at this point, even though, I mean, it's Denzel.
Sure.
Everybody's giving him his flowers at this point. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I think if I ever came up with a comprehensive list of greatest actors of all time, Denzel's at the top. I just think that, I was watching Equalizer 2 the other night.
Yeah.
It's not that good of a movie.
Yeah.
But
it's made great.
He is. I mean, it is,
to
bro.
Denzel, yeah.
It is shocking how good he is. He's like, it's like watching the actual sun walk through the movie because everything else is just orbiting around him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so. I was watching it and my mouth was. I was just like, how can he be so good in what is a media? This is
a by the numbers.
Equalizer is a Liam Neeson movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's a move. That's a fucking
Series.
Throwaway straight to
The entire series.
The whole
is
series
what that is.
is a throwaway Walmart bargain bin $5 DVD movie. But you throw Denzel and his just massive talent in there, and these movies go from the fuck am I watching to wow, this
was actually pretty good.
Pretty good.
That was a good scene.
I mean, I mean, and that's on the low end of what he's been
His
able
oeuvre.
to. Yeah, I mean, he I don't need to, go through the man's entire career. If you don't have him at least in your top 5, you don't know ball, brother. That's all I can tell you is you just don't know ball.
Yeah.
Because he's that damn good. I've had this kind of debate before with Salfie about I think he would put Daniel Day-Lewis as the most by the numbers talented actor ever. Sure. Just the roles,
not a controversial transfer.
Yeah, absolutely not. But I do think that there is something to being somebody who is transformative in a way that he still retains who he is in every role.
Yeah.
And some people would say, well, he's just Denzel in every movie.
It's not true.
Not true. Not true at all. And I think that that's a cop-out to not understanding the nuance of what he brings to every role that he's in.
Yeah.
If you really truly think that the guy in Equalizer is the same guy as Training Day, is the same guy as Man on Fire, is the same guy as Deja Vu, is the same
Flight.
guy as Mo Better Blues, as Flight. You just don't know ball.
Yeah,
that's all I can say. You just don't know ball.
No. He's done far too many different kinds of roles for him to be pigeonholed.
Yeah. Just because he doesn't make a weird voice or do some kind of
Put on makeup.
Yeah. That it's
Prosthetics.
it's a silly argument.
Yeah, no.
So, Denzel, the GOAT. And there
Agreed.
it is.
Agreed.
All right. Ready to review these brewskis?
Yeah.
All right. Well, tonight's brew is from the Oviedo Brewing Co. It's the
Boom!
It is in partnership with Kingdom NIL to support UCF student athletes. It's their blonde ale. Obi, what'd you think?
I really like it. I think it's pretty solid. We've had our issues with Oviedo Brewing beers in the past. No offense. But yeah, I say this is one of their better ones. I dug it. I like the little bit of bitterness, mixed in with a little bit of, kind of a weediness, a little breadiness to it. I think it does what it sets out to do, which is I'd have this on a hot day when I'm pre-gaming for a football game.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a good pick. I'm gonna give it 4.5. Wait.
Boom! 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 Boom!
4.5 booms.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 4. 4. Boom! 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 I agree with you though. I think it's I think this is one of Oviedo's better offerings. All due respect, we're not huge fans.
Sure.
They have come out with some good stuff, some not so great stuff.
Yeah.
But this I do think is a winner for them. This is a nice, full-bodied, balanced blonde ale. I think they got one with this one.
Yeah.
I think they got one with this one.
Agreed.
So, 4. And then a 4.5 for you, good sir?
Yes.
You think we got it?
I know we got it.
Well, if Obi says we got it, then this episode is over. This has been the One Beer In podcast for myself, Marco Jingle, for Adam Obesius Rodriguez. Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer and have yourself a beautiful evening.
We love you.
Boom! So many booms.
Too many booms.
Love